If you dread the reading portions of tests, then you're not alone. But don't worry, there are strategies for attacking the ACT reading test that make it totally manageable. First, you just need to understand the format and structure of the ACT reading test. It's always the same. You have 35 minutes to tackle 40 questions spread across 4 passages. And those 4 passages always appear in the same order: prose fiction or literary narrative, social science, humanities, and natural science. And one of those 4 is going to be a dual passage, which is just made up of 2 smaller passages. As long as you feel confident in your strategy for how to break down and attack the ACT reading test, you have everything you need to get a great score. Even though the reading section of the ACT is designed so that many students can't finish, thinking about your personal order of difficulty and really utilizing POE can help you score more. Right off the bat, when you're tackling the passages, go right for the passages that are actually interesting to you, or the ones that are shorter, or the ones that have a lot of now questions. Then, when you're moving on to tackling the questions, you want to pick up a lot of points right away. So, do now questions first, or questions that have specific line references, or ones that have key lead words that you can find easily in the passage. And just keep in mind that when you go to the passage, you want to read 5 lines above and 5 lines below the line referenced. That's going to ensure that you are understanding what it means in context. And of course, in a pinch, you always have your letter of the day. So there's going to be a basic approach that you use for every reading passage, and it's always the same. The first thing you're going to do is preview. Read the blurb and map the questions. After that, you're going to work the passage. For this, use upfront or as you go. Next, work the questions. This is where you really need to know that personal order of difficulty. And then finally, work the answers. This is where POE becomes the star of the show. So let's apply this approach to a set of questions. If we're previewing, we would have just read the blurb, and now we can map these questions using our personal order of difficulty to figure out how to pick up some quick points. The first thing we're going to look for are now questions, and questions with specific line references, because you know that you can go right to the passage and pick out the answers without reading the whole thing. In this case, question 23 is a great candidate for that, as it is used in line 57. That tells us exactly where to go. So we're going to mark off these kinds of questions as ones we'd like to do first. 22 is that kind of question as well. And then if you keep looking, there are also some other ones that work for that, 26 and 27. So we mark those as our first set of things to attack. Once we finish that, we're going to look for some more that are similar. 24 is a great example of a fetch question. That has a very specific term that we could scan the passage and pick out. So that one is going to be the next round that we attack. And now comes the fun part. We're going to look for the golden thread, which is that main idea that connects all of the ideas in the passage and therefore connects all of the questions and appears again and again. This is going to help us with those big picture questions. So of these questions, before we look at the passage itself, what appears again and again? Easy. Homer. All throughout these questions, there are references to things related to Homer, to the Greeks, to the Iliad, to the Odyssey, many mentions of Homer. The amazing thing about this is that before we've ever looked at the passage at all, we could already come really close to answering questions like 21 and 29 that deal with the main idea of the passage. No matter how long or how overwhelming a reading passage looks when you first see it, if you stick to this basic approach, you can break it down easily. First, preview. Check the blurb and then map the questions like we just did. Then you're going to work the passage. For this, you can do it up front, which means going through the passage, reading everything only once, and circling keywords as you go. Or, for extra speed, just reading the first sentence of every paragraph. Or you can work the passage as you go, jumping back and forth between each question and the passage. Then you're going to work the questions, and for that you use your personal order of difficulty. And finally, work the answers using POE. And keep in mind, you don't have to do this section in the order that the ACT tells you to. Use your personal order of difficulty to decide which passage seems the most interesting to you, or the easiest or the shortest, and start there. That's true for the questions too. You can do this section in the order that works for you.